All right, let's talk about flow launching. Specifically, what we see here is a posted chatter that includes some values for weight, color, and size. And the flow that started that off is this parent flow. What is this parent flow doing? It's basically launching a child flow. So why am I doing it this way when I've got a perfectly good subflow that I could bring right out here and I could pick the child flow right from here? Well, in my particular case, I didn't know. I need I want to be able to launch any child flow depending on a value that's chosen at design time by a user. In other words, I don't know for sure what the child flow is going to be called. Today there's only really one to choose from. If we go and we look, we pull the subflow in, you'll see that I've got a single child flow. But suppose there were 10 of these. Each of them was a different business process. And you wanted your flow to launch this one or maybe that one, depending on some signal, something triggered by Process Builder, for example. Well, so to do that, we built this auto launcher. And we need to launch via Apex when it's an auto-launched flow. If it was a screen flow, we actually can just make the URL and then tell the browser to open it in a window. I actually did that recently, and there's a separate project for that you can take advantage of. But for these auto-launch flows, we take advantage of the fact that Apex can launch a flow. I wanted to make this declarative so you didn't have to write any Apex to do that. So if we go and we look, you can see that the name of the flow is right here. And since this is a value, since this is simply a input parameter, it could be any value. It could be a variable. It could be something that was passed in. It could be something that was retrieved. So you've got the dynamic ability there. And then we've got the ability to pass in 3 different parameters, just name and value. And so these have to match up with the child flow you're calling. So I've got input color, input weight, and input size. And if we go and we look at the child flow, you can see that I've got input color, input weight, and input size, and they're available for input. This checkbox is necessary to essentially make a variable public so that it can receive information from a caller, from, in this case, our parent. And so you can see we can change. Let's go change some of these values. Let's go change this to blue. And let's go change this to 50. And then let's go run it again. Okay, so we passed in the 50, we passed in the blue. The child flow basically is just posting this to Chatter. Let's go take a look at our user. And refresh here, and here it is. Here it is with the revised information. And by the way, as an extra little note, the way I got this username is a bit hidden in Flow. To post to the current user, I actually went and I created a formula, and then I went into the formula picker here, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of global variables, including username here, that are accessible in formula. So sometimes if you need a certain value from Salesforce, you can get it by just creating a formula, and then I took that formula called cur username and just passed that in here. And for my message, I used a text template. So I went over to Manager, created a text template here, and just set it up with those resources. So use this action to dynamically launch auto-launched flows. An interesting synergy for this particular application is the new ability to schedule flows. So you might schedule flows to run every night at midnight, and then based on some value you retrieved, launch this flow or launch that flow. It's also a good way to, it helps you break up your flows further into smaller, more manageable pieces. So a number of good reasons to use this.